Okay, right. That's now posted. I'm going to get started. Okay. So our first question comes from. Okay, right. So the top ones are the most recent. Okay. So our first question. So I'm just going to read some stuff. So not all of them are questions. Patrick Ward says, "Hey Sam." Hey Patrick. Um, Autumn Night Productions asks. There you go. You will have to bear with me because the questions are going up and down, and I feel like an old man in an alien on an alien planet with this system. So yeah. Autumn Night Productions asks, "Hi Sam, will you be seeing Krampus?" Probably not. I saw the trailer and it looked incredibly tonally confused, I suppose. But yeah, I probably won't be seeing it. I mean, it doesn't look especially good. Um, and Well, what was interesting is when I watched the trailer at first, it looked like it was going to be some kind of evil Santa Claus, but then it was just a Bigfoot-looking troll thing, and nah. No. Tevye says hello. Hey, Tevye. Um, so Superboy17 says, Sam, even after all this time, why do you still give Spider-Man another chance? That's a good question. Because that's so cool. It actually says who I'm answering. I, I'm not going to start giving credit to this system because it's a piece of shit, but that's kind of cool. Um, after all this time, why do I give Spider-Man a chance? Um, because he's a character that I like, and he's a character that I follow, and I am always interested in it's always different people that are working on Spider-Man material. If it was the same person every time, then I'd probably walk away. For instance, I've walked away from um, Doctor Who because it's done by Stephen Moffat. It's not very good, and he's not going anywhere anytime soon. But with Spider-Man, I like the character. I like the material. There have been really great Spider-Man properties. Um, Presently, there may not feel like there are many, but it's there's. I like it when people take a chance to um, do a different approach to a character or a particular kind of material that I am fond of. Um, and because it's Spider-Man, it's always a bit of fun. I don't think they can ever do as bad as the Amazing Spider-Man 2 again. I think you would have to try to do that terribly, really, because I didn't think at one point I didn't think you could do worse than Spider-Man 3, and yeah, the world is weird. It works in strange ways sometimes. Um, but yeah, I like it, and I always look forward to seeing what kind of interesting new takes on the material people have. And Spider-Man is fun. It's great. It's great fun, and I like Peter Parker. Would you have guessed? So our next question, I can't tell if things at the bottom or at the top or whatever. Done. Right. Okay. Um, Autumn Night Productions asks, "Do you watch Game of Thrones?" I don't, and probably won't get around to it. How many are there? 5, 6 seasons. I, you've got to dedicate yourself to something like that, and I'm just not sure I've got the time or the energy. Google Works. Hi Sam, says Hawk Meadow 01. Good. Right. Well, as long as people recognize that, if anyone if anyone's commenting on this and they say YouTube's not working, please do my job for me and just tell them that go on the Google one, it works. If yeah, go on the Google one. Cool. Rightio. Just clean up this section a little bit. That one's done. That one's done. Tevye Smolka asks, "What is your opinion on Creed?" Creed doesn't come out in the UK until the end of January, which is incredibly frustrating. I'm not a Rocky fan myself, but I liked the trailer and I was intrigued to see what they were doing. But we don't get it till the end of January, which is a shame. But yeah, so have to wait on my thoughts for that, I'm afraid, unless I go to America, which I don't have the money for at the moment. Patrick Ward asks, "What are your thoughts on the new Batman v Superman trailer?" What's interesting actually is I didn't watch it. I made a conscious choice to not bother with it at first because I don't like third trailers. I think two's enough, that's done. But everyone kept talking about it, and I thought, and then I actually saw someone posted a picture of Doomsday, and so I figured, well, I've clearly seen the big moment that would have gone. Like, the annoying thing about trailers is that even when you try and avoid them, people will still post the big moment, the big whoa, like eye-catching moment that you only really watch those new trailers for. You only really watch them to get the whoa, I didn't expect that, I didn't see that coming, and oh, this is all different. Trailers are designed to remind you that it's happening, but also give you another reason. Another trailer is designed to give you another reason to see the movie. So now people think, Superman fighting Doomsday, yada yada, comics, the whole deal. So when I saw that, I went, well, clearly that's the trailer's big hook. So I watched it in the end. I liked Batman and Superman talking. By which I mean Clark Kent and Bruce Wayne. I'm intrigued to see what. I'm intrigued to see what. Sorry, bear with me. There are a bunch of comments coming. Not sure if you've seen them. Come off on the live chat. So nothing answering them. Google Plus is weird. Connor Lightbody trying to bless. Some people are really trying to help me out, and it's just very difficult. Plus is weird. Yeah. Anyway, I was answering a question about Batman v Superman. I think that I'm not sure about Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor. I'm intrigued to see what he does. I will say that they showed too much. I now know how the entire movie is going to play out. It was kind of a given that they were going to team up in the end. But don't call your movie Batman v Superman if you're going to tell us that that's only a small part of it. Well, that's only a part of it. And to see that the plot so far, we haven't seen it, but from my guesses, from my speculation, from trying to put the pieces together from what I can see in the trailer, it looks like your average Batman v Superman fan script. And it's like, they couldn't have done anything a little bit better or a little bit inventive. I'm not too. This isn't me saying I could do a better job. It's just there have been, but at this point there have been so many. What I'd do if I were making Batman v Supermans all over YouTube. There's script form. Mitch's Movies has done it. Belated Media done it. Bandit Incorporated has done it. Loads of people have done it, and it's pretty much the same thing. They fight, they have a and then they team up, and that's what this movie is doing. And the problem is not that the heroes are teaming up. The problem is that the whole movie, up till now, has told us that you should really care that Batman and Superman are going to fight each other. You should really give a damn about that. And now it shows us, well, they're going to team up. Well, they make up. You see what the problem is? Whoever's marketing this movie doesn't really. There's clearly a disconnect there. And I think it just plays into the fact that I really do just wholeheartedly believe they made this movie up as they went along. It started as Man of Steel 2, then they just started calling it Batman v Superman. Superman literally gets second billing in his own movie. And then they just started saying, oh, we're still making Man of Steel 2. in comparison to the Captain America Civil War trailer, you know, that knows that it's about Captain America, and you have these other larger than life characters also in there. But he's the main character. He's the central figure in the entire story, and he's the one who's mainly confronted with these threats and these obstacles, and he's the one that's going to have to overcome them. With Batman v Superman, it looks like he can't decide if it's Man of Steel 2, a Justice League prequel, Dark Knight Returns, and a Dark Knight Returns adaptation. So who knows? But I thought I liked the trailer up until the bit when there was even a fine line where I watched it the first time and I said, "End it there," but then it went on. So yeah, who knows? Who knows? It could turn out to be good, but I feel like I've seen the whole movie at this point. So excuse me. Right. I'm losing track of all these questions. I don't think I think this thing keeps changing, so I don't know if I'm answering questions from oldest to newest or newest to oldest, or if there isn't even an order. So I'm just going to answer things as I see them in front of me, and I do apologize if I don't get around to your question. Walter Jacobs asks, if you could have any superpower, what would it be? Also, any advice for a freshman? What superpower would it be? It's pretty typical, but I'd probably fly. I mean, just imagine being able to fly places. It's that sense of freedom, and I'd also be intrigued to feel what it's like to literally have nothing supporting your body, because you're always sitting down, you're always lying down, you're always standing up. There's no point when you're not resting on something, resting a part of your, well, you know what I mean. You're always putting something on something, and I'd just be intrigued to see. It's a very strange thing to say, but I'd just be intrigued to see what it's like to literally just be in the air and nothing touching you. It'd be interesting. And also, I'd like to see how fast I could go if I could fly. The other question: any advice for a freshman? You think you have all the answers? Well, I'm going to stop. I'm 20. I'm going to be 21 in March. So I took a gap year out in between college and uni. I was very comfortable with my life before university. And I kind of thought I had everything figured out. And when I went into university, I did not have everything figured out. It's a very challenging experience. I couldn't have been, at the time, I couldn't have been more ready to move out of my parents' house and start studying all this stuff to do with film production. But it's not just studying. In fact, I'd argue studying is the least difficult part of it. It's financial stuff, trying to make sure you've got enough money to survive, getting used to everyday things, washing your clothes. I still have trouble doing it, a lot of trouble. I feel much better this year because I'm kind of more into it. I don't really know. The annoying thing about being a freshman is you kind of have to experience it to get to ultimately go through it. I think it's just a way of life. But best of luck to you. I've already lost the question. Where was it? Best of luck to you, Walter Jacobs. Yeah, he'll do fine. You'll do fine. Patrick Ward asks, what do you think of the third and final Star Wars trailer? I thought it was amazing. I still haven't watched it, and I'm very proud of myself that I haven't watched it just yet. It has come on twice in the cinema. The first time I did that, which was incredibly challenging, and then the second time I just ran out of the cinema. I'm not too. I just don't want to see too much, and I think they did a perfect job with the first two trailers. Now it's got to the point now where if I see anything, then I'm like, because it might not be a spoiler, but you still now know that that scene exists. That now I know that there's a scene where Kylo Ren appears up at Daisy Ridley, because again, like I was saying with screenshots, everyone posts the fucking moment, even if you don't watch the trailer. So I know that moment exists. And I would like to have not known. I know it was kind of. I know it kind of would have been given out there anyway by the poster that Drew Struzan did, but I still would have liked to have been surprised by John Boyega's wielding of a lightsaber in the actual movie itself, as I had absolutely no idea that was going to happen. Now I do. It's just little moments. I know it's nitpicky, I know it's fanboy or whatever. I actually kind of think it's the other way around. I just kind of I want it to be a fun experience, and the movie might not be great, it might be great, it might not be, but I want to play by its terms, and I don't want to see too much before I see it, because so far I can kind of predict the plot. At least the first hour or so. John Boyega is an Imperial, is a stormtrooper. Something happens. He winds up on Jakku, bumps into Daisy Ridley. They meet Han Solo, or Daisy Ridley is revealed to be Han Solo's daughter, or see she's got some kind of relation to him. Then they go on a mission. It's not a lot. I know it's not, but I still don't like knowing that much. So yeah, I haven't watched it, but I'll watch everything that I've avoided after the movie. Like I'll watch Red Letter Media's Mike and Rich make assumptions on episode 7, because that looks funny, but I just can't watch it. I don't even like people speculating. So our next question comes from. I'm gonna go up to the top, because I feel like the top is where the older questions are. So the next question comes from Cameron Faulkner, who asks, "What's your view on the Death Jar Jar Binks fan theory? Darth Jar Jar Binks fan theory, as in the thing where he was behind it the whole time." Don't really care, to be honest. He didn't exactly help things, sure, but that's clearly not intentional. I don't like fan theories. They pull things out of things that to make them seem connected, and things don't have to always be connected. Sometimes that even belittles a universe. It takes away it's a little bit reductive. I'm pretty sure this is just a fun little theory. I haven't read it personally, the full thing myself, but I'm aware there, jokes going around that he's the whole reason that the Empire prevails. So who knows? Tony Stark asks, "What is your favorite so bad it's good film, e.g., The Room?" Face Off, brilliant. It's not good. Well, I mean, okay, it's got great '90s action and all that kind of stuff. The acting is not good. I'll give something to Nicolas Cage, because he really gives it his all. As does John Travolta. John Travolta is just not good, and he can't. He's a terrible actor in that movie, and he can't do Nicolas Cage. But it's just a fun. It's too long, but it's such a fun movie, and it's so silly and stupid. And God, I love that movie. It's just such fun, and I will never grow bored of it. Who are some? So Danny B Reviews asks, who are some of your favorite non-reviewer YouTubers? Non-reviewer YouTubers. Well, I follow Screen Junkies. Some might argue they're reviewers. I wouldn't. They do screen. They do. What do you call it? Bear with. So, what was the question I was answering? Oh yeah. Who are some of your favorite non-reviewer YouTubers? So I follow Screen Junkies. I don't really follow many other. I don't really follow people that aren't reviewers. Should we have a look? Should we have a look at my subscriptions? I follow Steve Shivs, because he follows, because I don't watch all of his new videos, but he follows me, so I found that kind of cool. Um, Grade A under A. He's this guy who rants about things, and it's surprisingly funny. It's a little bit juvenile, but it's very funny. Um, I follow the Bob Ross YouTube channel because I just like Bob Ross. Um, his voice can put me to sleep. Um, and who else is on there? I suppose I don't I don't really know what the cutoff is. I mean, there are some people that review things but also do other things. Like Hello Greedo does other videos, um, but we're good mates, so I don't think anyone would have not known that I followed him. Yeah, yeah, just whatever, whatever, man. Um, right, okay. Apparently, I'm at the top, so I'm going to go to the bottom. Right. So our next question comes from um, Vaco Ello, who asks, "What is the best superhero TV series?" It's a chalk up between um, Daredevil, The Flash, and Jessica Jones. I like Agent Carter, but it's not a superhero series. Um, yeah, it's a chalk up between The Flash, Jessica Jones, and Daredevil. Daredevil is a good crime drama. Jessica Jones is a really good psychological, intimate drama, and The Flash is just great superhero fun. Um, it has its problems, and unfortunately, it has to team up with Arrow every year, and Arrow sucks. But it's a lot of good fun, and I just love that. Um, he can just be walking down the street, and then a half shark, half man dude just grabs him off camera, and it's not treated like it's too out there. I think that's absolutely wonderful, and that's exactly what a Flash show should be like. And Grant Gustin is brilliant, and all the cast is really well. I don't dislike anyone in that cast. Um, no one is Felicity Smoke, and as much as as much as Daniel Panabaker, who plays Caitlin, so far hasn't been really given anything to do outside of fall in love with dudes. At least she's likable. Um, but it would be nice for them to give her something else to do. So our next question comes from. Oh, by the way, I assumed that was current TV series. If we're talking about other shows, we might be here for ages. Um, so our next question comes from. My friend just said, "Yeah, Arrow sucks." Cool. Right. Sanlu Arsel asks, "Did you play Star Wars: The Old Republic?" I tried playing it a little bit. Well, it must be over a decade ago. Was it a decade ago? So long ago that I can barely remember much about it. I do remember being able to walk around the place, but everyone tells me that was a great game, and honestly, I didn't really play it properly to get it. I was clearly too young to play it. Well, maybe I don't know. I'm not a huge gamer. Um, so if I ever bought games, it was just for it's a game, whatever. Um, uh, let's see. Vicoello asks, Do you think universes exist as real, distinct entities, or merely as mental constructs?" That's an extremely philosophical conundrum there. Um, they're distinct entities. Um, yeah, I don't like this question. It's scaring me. Let's go on to another one. Okay, so apparently the comments are actually ordered in terms of rank, which is strange, but okay. Um, uh, okay, so I am. It is strange, but I can't, it tells me that people want them answered, so I am actually going to do that order. But I will maybe do one, then go down to the bottom, and then do another one, so that keeps it fair. Um, Oh, okay. I'm still getting people asking where to post things. Everyone go to the Google Plus page. I've linked it on the Facebook page. That's where to go. Just sharing this on Twitter. Tweet. I'm going to put a picture with that because that usually gets people to notice it. Should we put a picture of my face? Let's find a picture of my face. Because why not? Blah, 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 blah. I don't know whether to go with a funny one or my funny faces are slightly inappropriate. Let's go with that. The cartoon of me holding a camera because it looks much better than I do in real life. Blah, blah, blah. So if my timing is correct, we should have been doing this for about half an hour by now. I hope everyone's enjoying, and I hope I haven't made it too difficult for everyone. Thanks again for all your patience. I'd be absolutely nowhere with you guys. Right, I'm going to stop with all this stuff and go back to answering your questions. Again. Okay, there's also some questions over. Okay, right. This might actually be a bit easier. Weird. This whole thing is weird. I don't get it. Okay, right. Questions. So Magnus Magnus asks, favorite movie from the year you were born in? Love Die Hard with a Vengeance. What else came out in '95? Toy Story. It's a classic. Should we have a look? What I forget what came out in '95. 1995 movie. GoldenEye. I like a bit of GoldenEye. Batman Forever, a classic. Jumanji's really good. You've asked me what my favorite is, and I'm just listing them. Let's go with, on nostalgic factor, I'd go Batman Forever, but let's go Die Hard with a Vengeance. Great action movie. The last truly great Die Hard movie. I like Die Hard 4 more than most, but it's flawed, and frankly I could do without it in my life. I would not feel a loss without it. So yeah, Die Hard with a Vengeance, great film. Let's go. Right, so I've answered that one. It's a weird system. You click on these comments so that it shows up saying you're answering this question now, then you have to click done. So I keep answering them without actually clicking select. So Alexander the Awesome asks, do people in England try to do American accents? Yeah, as much as I'm sure people in America try to do British accents. I don't really know how mine shapes up. You're gonna make me do one, aren't you? So, I need a sentence. Let's find a comment that someone else has asked, so I've just got something to. Sam, would you accept being willing to accept Nicolas Cage as your Lord and Savior? Yeah, that was terrible. Yeah, I can't. I'm not good. I'm not good at it. You've made me. Look what you've made me do. Damn you, Alexander the Awesome. Um, nope, it's gone. Okay, I was gonna sneeze. Kane Gord asks, favorite superhero film that everyone loves but you think is overrated. Um, superhero film. I'm trying to think of a superhero film that I genuinely don't agree with the rest of the world on. It's movies that people like but I don't as much. Yeah, everyone loves but you think is overrated. It's a very specific question. Superhero movies. Come on, Google, give me a list. Superhero films. Hey, well, we're going on Wikipedia. Okay, it's literally okay. Okay. Um. Uh. I don't know. Me and the world usually agree on superhero movies. We're usually good in that regard. Man of Steel splits the world apart and is going to make World War III. But besides that movie, it seems all right. Um. I honestly have no idea. Superhero film that everyone loves but you think is overrated. I used to think Dark Knight was overrated. I don't anymore. That's not doesn't really answer your question. Yep, sorry, can't give you one. Me and the world are usually friends in that regard. John Tyler, I've heard worse American accents. Cheers, cheers. So our next question comes from uh, Tiernan Hamill. Tiernan, Tiernan Hamill. See, I think, see, I'm really like, yeah, I got it right, but I may have fucked it up still. Asks, thoughts on Ash versus Evil Dead so far? So, I've watched 4 episodes, I think, of Ash versus Evil Dead. I love it. The problem is, they're half an hour long each, and I'm not watching them. You know, it might be a different story if I'm binging them all in one, but so far I'm watching it as the series is going, and it's too little. Um, why is it half an hour long? The first episode was brilliant, and it was a good runtime. It was exactly the kind of runtime that the material warranted. Um, why why it has to be half an hour, I have no idea. I do love it though. What I see, I really enjoy it. Not sure about the policeman character. Interested to see what Xena's doing. Um, and it's nice having her in a Sam Raimi series for the obvious reasons. It's great seeing Bruce Campbell back. He's slipped back into this character with ease. I love how it really does feel like it's in the same world. And as much as they can't reference the third movie, I believe, for distribution or rights purposes or something, um, it feels exactly like it belongs in that world. And it's just good fun. I laughed out loud in the second episode where an undead appears in the backseat of Ash's car, and Ash is just repeatedly stabbing him with the bottle, and the blood's going all over Pablo. And I thought it was absolutely hilarious, and it's just that kind of comedy. It just gets me, and it's incredibly reverent, but also it's not calculated. It's not going, remember those movies. It is designed for fans, of course, but it's also just a great continuation of the story so far. I don't really know where they're going with it. When they said he has to revisit, there was something in the last episode where he kind of looks inside himself and he gets and I like these little touches of extra character that they're giving Ash. You know, ideas of what he was going to do had they not gone to the cabin in the woods. Um, I got the impression they were going to go back into the cabin, which would be cool to see. I'm enjoying it. I am enjoying it, and I think it's very funny, and I think it's well cast. I think I would like Sam Raimi to direct more episodes because he did a masterful job in the first episode, considering especially that he hasn't ever directed TV. Well, he has worked on TV before, but I think I've heard him say he hasn't directed. He's not used to directing TV, at least. but I think he's a natural at it. Yeah, really good. It's schlocky fun, isn't it? It's trashy movie fun. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how the rest of it pans out. So our next question comes from, just get rid of you there. Our next question comes from I Like Stuff, who asks, weirdest film you've ever seen? Off the top of my head, Noah. Weird. Alexander the Awesome asks, best and worst movie of the year so far? You're asking a lot of me there. I still haven't watched some movies that I want to watch before I start declaring things like that. So I want to watch Ex Machina, which I still haven't seen. I want to watch. Still need to watch a couple Oscar contenders for last year. I know that's not really this year, but I still need to watch. I still haven't watched. Not the Impossible Dream, the Impossible Theory of Everything, Theory of Everything, and the Imitation Game. I still haven't seen that. I still need to catch up on some films. Um, uh, yeah, best I would. The worst movie of the year, I honestly don't know at this point. I mean, I was insulted by Terminator Genesis, miserable watching Mockingjay Part 2, Pan sucked. I don't know. Don't know. Uh, yeah, sorry, I didn't really answer your question. Pieter Wolf asks, most creepy fan of yours? Probably won't say, because knowing him or her, they will likely. I don't want to. I don't want to irk anyone on, and I don't want to start anything since it's died down. Um, so yeah, I'm just going to skip that one. I'm sure you'll understand why. Which he's asked that question twice. So our next question comes from Cameron Faulkner, my man Cam, who asks, "What would a movie in this era have to do to be as revolutionary as Star Wars was for the '70s?" That's a really good question. I don't know. Something that we need right now. You know, Star Wars came around the time of the Vietnam War, or just around the end of it, and people kind of needed something optimistic. And in films, you generally didn't get that with movies in general. I mean, there was a lot of crime dramas and there was a lot of anti-hero stuff, but with Star Wars, there was a sense of optimism that you hadn't really felt in film in a while. I'm not sure if it's the case of telling a good story, because we get great stories now. We get really good movies now, and we got really good movies before Star Wars. You know, it's something refreshing, and it's something that we as a culture or a society crave, but we don't quite know we crave it. I do think that Star Wars: The Force Awakens. I really hope that its practical effects really stand out, because if they've been talking this up this whole time and that doesn't translate on screen, I'm going to be annoyed. But I do think it would be nice if this kicked off some kind of new resurgence in practical effects and set design, because that would be great. I'm not sure specifically what it would need to do. Sorry, people are messaging me. Right. Sorry, everyone. Okay. Yeah. So I'm not too sure. I'd you know the Avengers was something we hadn't seen. I think the Avengers was incredibly impactful, and would I have called it revolutionary? It did feel like something we'd never see on screen before, or it did feel like something we had never seen and we would never have seen. Um, and it still, in some respects, does feel like a miracle of sorts. You know, I know a lot of people are complaining it's not that complex and the stories. There's so much more for that movie going than just the standard story and plotting. And I think some people refuse to admit that, refuse to accept that. I'm not sure. Um, it's ultimately finding what have we not seen before? What is it that we it's finding movies don't know sometimes usually movies just don't know when they're going to be huge sometimes. I mean, if you're a brand and you're Star Wars now, then of course you're going to be huge. If you're, if you're making a Terminator movie, of course you're going to be huge, whether or not you're good or not. But I'd like to think it's that extra something that makes the movie refreshing or unique in your eyes, and it's that breath of fresh air you've wanted, but you didn't know you wanted it. I don't really know. It's a difficult question to answer, but hopefully I've answered that in some way. Um, Siddharth Eckert asked music that you're into. Um, Pretty much anything that isn't modern. I'm an old fart. I think that most music nowadays is shit. Um, I mean the only music that I liked recently was stuff by Adele. That's because she actually sings her songs. It's all about booty nowadays, and it's boring. It's repetitive. It's all the same. They're all gonna have a bloody bass drop in the middle. They're all designed for people dancing around in clubs, and they're all designed for those people dancing around in clubs. So it's all about you know getting laid and just skanky, dirty stuff. And I'm bored of it. I did just say I'm an old fart. I love Sinatra. I love Lionel Richie. I love Stevie Wonder. I love Prince. But then I'm also a bit of a I don't want to say I'm a bit of a rocker, but when I was younger, I used to be really into. I like AC/DC. I'm not sure I call them my favorite anymore. They're very repetitive, but you don't get upbeat songs like that anymore. And especially, I was talking to my flatmate, because we were both doing work individually in the living room, so we just put on a playlist of 80s songs in the on the telly, and what's his face came on. For fuck's sake, what's his name? We're no strangers to love. That one. Um, Rick Ashley. That's Rick Ashley. That's it. That was killing me. I usually know him. And I just thought, God, that no one makes upbeat songs like this anymore, and we no longer live in that time where you can wear just the silliest things and it can be socially acceptable. God, I wish I was around in that time. We're all so cynical nowadays, and the music I think reflects that. I think it reflects our sluttiness as well. Um, I feel dirty listening to a lot to a lot of modern songs. Honestly, it's designed for that. Just it's designed not quite for my generation. I think it's for the generation below me, or really, it's just any generation, young generation that's going to be listening to this kind of music. But but yeah. So I don't know. I've lost track of what I was saying. I like a bit of anything that is music. I love Michael Jackson. Love a bit of Michael Jackson. And I did a tweet, which I think is a good point to make, is that, it's all about booty nowadays, but back in the day, forget about what you think about Michael Jackson. He was singing about things about what we were doing to the world, war and peace. He was talking about racism, how we should all love each other. It's cheesy, but it's important stuff and it resonates. And music nowadays isn't about that, and that's really, really sad. Um, I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but artists or labeling companies that push songs to become big and that get the top spot on Spotify, they are not those songs. They're all about booty and get laid tonight and skanky and and I have no time for it, and I think it feels immature. It feels like it's designed for 15-year-olds trying to find their way in the trying to find themselves, and I'd like to think I'm beyond that. So there's your answer. Thank you very much. So our next question comes from Danny B Reviews, who asks, if you, Trilby, and Oliver Harper were stranded on a desert planet, who would survive the longest? It's a good question. Well, I'm the youngest, so I'd like to think I'd live longer. I mean, Trilby's got his hat. Oliver is he's smarter than me. He knows more than me. We've all got a sense of humor, luckily. One day we might kill each other over who's funnier. I would have to say. Shall I just say me? I'll just say me. I'd survive the longest. Whatever. It's fun. It's all good fun. Connor Brennan asks, what cut of Superman 2 do you like best, since Batman v Superman is coming out? I thought I should ask. I personally like the theatrical cut. I personally think that they are still one cut away from truly achieving a solid Superman 2. The movie in both cuts has a really, really dull midsection where Zod and company go and start causing trouble in that one town. There's great themes in there. There's great scenes in there. But I mean, for instance, if you want to do the director's cut and you get, the much better Lois shoots Clark, revealing him to be Superman scene, and you jump and you skip Paris, which I never particularly thought was that entertaining. Bear in mind, I haven't watched the theatrical version in quite a few years. But say you want that scene between Lois and Clark where she shoots him in the director's cut, you then don't get the brilliant kiss scene in the original movie. And regardless of whether or not that makes sense with his powers, it's a brilliant scene. It's really well acted, and you really respond to it emotionally. And you're missing that if you're watching that one. If you're watching the director's cut. So I do think they are one cut away from truly getting it right. That will never happen as long as Richard Donner is alive, and I do not wish death on that man. So I guess we're just going to have to dream for the cut, not for him to die. Our next question comes from I like stuff. Jokes you shouldn't laugh at. Either they're so stupid or offensive, but you do anyway. Oh, do I want to do that? Before I say anything, I'm Jewish, so I know a couple Jew jokes, but it's Hanukkah. Happy Hanukkah, everyone. It's Hanukkah. I'm not sure I want to. I can't. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm being pretty casual. I'm swearing and stuff, and I swear normally. I have a pretty terrible potty mouth. So yeah. But I'll stay. I will have to stay clear of that. You never know who you're going to offend. You've got to be really careful online. What's funny to you may not be funny to someone else, and I've just learned, as much as my attitude may be lighten the fuck up, there's a certain amount of professionalism you've got to have online. But you still got me to talk about something, so well done. Congratulations to you. Siddharth Eckard wants to depress me because he asks, how was your high school experience? The worst time of my life ever. I'm sure loads of people would. Where's that question gone? I'm sure loads of people would share that thought or that experience. It's a trying time. It's challenging. It's not easy. I was a completely different person from who I am now. I was basically who I would like to see Peter Parker done, because that's what a kid like. I like. That's what I was basically Tobey Maguire. Part of the reason I related to him. it was just a difficult time. I wasn't I didn't think I was smart. I wasn't clever. Um I didn't exceed in my studies. Wasn't good at science, wasn't good at maths, wasn't good at literature. I passed literature and maths in the end, or English literature, English in general. I didn't really pass science, even though I really actually love science fiction and I have a interest in science. People, I was awkward and I didn't really know. I started the period with friends who eventually went on to become people I wasn't friends with in the end. Um, and you know, I got bullied, and because I got bullied, I bullied other people. It's a horrible cycle that goes around, and I don't think I really understood. You know, well, yeah, I felt I could feel sorry for myself, and I did spend an awful lot of time feeling sorry for myself, and wallowing in my own self pity. But I realized halfway through that it did not help my responses. I would always answer back to people with an attitude because I just got angry and I had a temper. And I still do have a temper, really, but about other things. And I didn't understand why people would think they call me a boff because I was socially awkward, I guess. But I wasn't smart, and I didn't excel at any particular studies. I wasn't at the top of my class in anything, and that pissed me off and that upset me because it felt like it wasn't even warranted. Um, but I said the wrong thing one time, made the wrong action, um, and I paid for it. The whole school hated me, um, and I learned from that experience. And I'm sure other people have had a similar experience where something has been said about you, or you've said the wrong thing, and it gets around. Um, I was getting death threats. It was not an easy time. It was a really testing time, but I wouldn't change it. As much as I hated it, I wouldn't change it. And I think it's been a huge part of the man I am now. Um, it's difficult not to feel sad about it. I had fun times. I had friends, and I do have fond memories after the fact. I actually started having fun at school towards the end, and it's because I made friends with different people in a different year, in fact. Um, but after that slip up where I clearly said the wrong thing, made the wrong action, whatever, pissed people off, I kind of said to myself, well, you've just got to stop answering, but you've just got to stop responding to these guys. And that's basically the best advice I can give to anyone that's currently in high school right now, or secondary school, whatever. Don't ever give them the satisfaction. Don't ever respond. I'm not going to tell you I'm not going to tell you what I did because it doesn't matter. But it was big, and the whole school knew it, and I gained a reputation and a false reputation. But I looked at myself and I said, well, there's a reason they think this. Is because you made the wrong call, you made the wrong action, you retaliated, and that's probably the best thing that could have prepared me for anything. And ultimately, I spent the rest of that time in school just keeping my head down, not answering back, hearing what they're saying, of course, because you can't block that stuff out, but just not responding. And eventually, they got bored, and people walked away from it. And I'm sure I've still got a couple of people that think that way about me now. But it wasn't an easy time. But I think it was a time I had to go through. I'd be a completely different dude if I hadn't made that one wrong choice at that one time. It's very insignificant now. I'd like to think so. Um, it's getting proper deep, isn't it? I was laughing at the YouTube origins, Sam Gavin. Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's probably insignificant now. I even bumped into the guy that I directly affected through that bad choice, and we bought each other a drink. This was last year, but it stays with you. It's difficult things in life. I've always learned, and I was always the one in my family who learned things through cocking up. Basically, my sister is a natural at just getting things right the first time. I have to fuck up to know not to do something or to learn from it. And that's basically the way I've done it my whole life, and it's difficult, but that's just the kind of person I am. So, you know, high school experience wasn't great, but had it not happened, you probably wouldn't be watching Sam's channel. So give it some credit. Right, enough for all the emotional stuff. So our next question comes from Danny B Reviews, who asks, "What made you decide to start a YouTube channel?" I was in sixth form college, so I was 17, and I was bored out of my mind, and I was following a lot of movie critics. I was following Geek Evolution a lot. I don't know if anyone would have heard that. I don't really follow them anymore. But I just followed a lot of people on YouTube, and I kind of after that year at school, that final year where I made more friends, I made new friends, and I kind of built my confidence up again. We kind of stopped talking to each other, and I reverted back to my socially awkward self in this new college, and I didn't know many people. It was really far away from my home, and it was that too was a difficult time. Ultimately, what I had to do was just let people in. For some reason, I just didn't want to let people in, and so what happened with the YouTube channel was that I was just bored. I wasn't engaged in my studies. I was in IT a lot, didn't do any of the work. And I would just watch videos all the time, and I would get so fascinated by the whole reviewing language and I studied film in college, and that really helped. That course is probably the most handy course I've ever been on, that and media studies at GCSE level, when I was in high school. But so I was studying film, and I wasn't particularly invested in any other subjects, and I had a computer in front of me for X amount of hours in the week, and I just started writing these scripts, and I just started recording these Doctor Who videos, of which I've now deleted. Not very good. Excuse me. And it just grew from there. It took ages for me to finally reach a point where I was happy with what the channel was, or what the style and the tropes were. For a while, it seemed like it was a nostalgic, like it was a 20-minute long thing, a bit like Your Movie Sucks. There was a point when it was like Superhero Rewind, and I would try and I took inspiration from a whole bunch of different people, and it's really obvious in some of the older videos. In fact, some of them are just derivative. I even called myself out on basically just copying bits from Hello Greedo in one of my special edition changes video. Not completely, but mainly the beginning, mainly the joke. But yeah, so it took a while for the channel to get going, but when I really got into it when I was working at Curry's on my gap year. So I could just dedicate so much time to it, and it was great fun. I loved that year. It was great. And yeah, it's just naturally grown. I mean, a lot of people have asked me like, what do you have to do to do what you do? Ultimately, I mean, I studied film, and yeah, that is a huge help. You might want to study film for this, but ultimately, I just, I don't know where this. People say I'm well read, but I don't. I learned everything from film. I learned my history from film. I learned my language from watching other movie critics. It's just a case of surrounding yourself in the material, and you pick up on things eventually, and that's just how it works. What's the question I was answering? Yeah, what made you decide to? Really, I was just bored, and I was interested in what other people were putting out there. And I'm glad to say it's turned into something that I'm proud of, and that I've got all of you guys to support me for. So yeah, even the very small things like I'm bored at the moment can turn into something 3-4 years later. So That's quite fun. Our next question comes from the FFF198, who asks, "Hi Sam, first of all, I love your channel. I've been watching your vids since your review for The Amazing Spider-Man. Keep it up. Thank you. My question is, who is your favorite Star Wars character and why?" Favorite Star Wars character. I have a feeling that I decided this recently, and now I can't remember who it was. The obvious pick is Han Solo. I don't want to give that answer because everyone else would have given that answer. Someone really good in Star Wars. I don't know. I don't know what do you guys want me to give a main character? Do you want me to give an obscure choice that other people wouldn't have given before? Boba Fett's cool because he's mysterious. I'm not sure he's my favorite. I like Darth Vader because he's cool. I like the Emperor because he's charismatic and he just makes me laugh. I like Luke. A lot of people don't like Luke, and you can piss off. Luke's cool, damn it. He's one of us. You have come on, stand by your brothers and sisters. Politically correct. Yeah. Yeah, I can't really give you an answer. Sorry. Our next question comes from who is the worst actor ever? And I mean an actor who has not a single good role in his who has not had a single good role in his career. The worst actor ever. The worst actor ever. No idea. I'm going to go on to the next question, but thank you. Next question comes from Tevia Smolka, who asks, "What is your opinion on Spectacular Spider-Man animated series versus the horrible Ultimate Spider-Man animated series?" Do you guys really need me to answer that? You don't think I've already done it? Spectacular Spider-Man was really good. Ultimate Spider-Man isn't, and it's lowest common denominator schlock for kids that business people prey on. Good material, bad material. That's as simple as I can make it. Excuse me. Tina Hamill asks, should directors of bad movies get second chances and how many before they become untrustworthy? Yes, directors of bad movies should get second chances. I don't really know how many they should do before they become untrustworthy. Some you can never know with these things. Joel Schumacher did Phone Booth after he did Batman and Robin. You can never know with these things. It's not always the director's fault either. Josh Trank will never get hired again. But yeah, you can never know. Our next question comes from Ace99, who asks, "What are your thoughts on the Star Wars spin-off films like Rogue One, and do you like what they're doing with them?" Honestly, I don't know too much with Rogue One. I mean, I know what they've told us. I'm intrigued. I'm not jumping off my seat to see this movie. Yeah, who knows? Checking people are following links. Oh, okay, so these are questions. Okay, right. What question was I answering? Rogue One, yeah. Whatever. I'm not too fussed about it at this point. Intrigued, not jumping out of my seat. See what happens when we get a trailer. Kirk Beatty, my main man Kirk, asks, who would win in a fight between Tom Hardy's Bane and King Shark from The Flash? The audience. Right. Ace99 asks, why do you think they aren't showing Luke Skywalker in any of the trailers for The Force Awakens? I really hope that it's not because he's not, maybe, probably not Kylo Ren, because that's a completely different body type, and we already know Adam Driver's playing him. I don't want them to turn around and say he's some kind of new emperor or some bullshit like that. I hate it when people speculate silly, when people voice silly speculations and that turns out to be the real case. Like fucking Blofeld being James Bond's brother. You don't need that. It's reductive. Maybe not reductive in the case of Star Wars, but I don't want to see Luke as the bad guy. Sometimes things make sense. That doesn't make sense to me. That would be a twist for the sake of twist's sake. And Luke Skywalker already walked away from being a bad guy. That was the whole point of his arc in Return of the Jedi. He saw what was happening to Darth Vader. He looked at his hand to see that they are very similar. Does he now lunge at his dad to take his dad's place, or does he chuck his lightsaber in the face of the Emperor and say, fuck you, I'm not playing your game? He chucks his lightsaber and says, I'm not playing the game. So if they want to turn around and tell me Luke Skywalker's the bad guy, that's fine, but I'm not investing in it. Hopefully they're saving him for a great movie moment. Like Spock in Star Trek. Even though we are already getting Han Solo. Who knows? Our next question comes from Hub Pie, who asks, what's the greatest theatre experience you've had? Probably the Avengers. Great fun. We were laughing, we were clapping. I've never had a movie going experience like it. Arms up in the air. It was just a great time. I loved it. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Peter Wolf asks, is there a Mrs. Sam's channel in your life? I do have a girlfriend. She's lovely. Yeah, I don't really know how much information I want to give, but she's absolutely lovely. She's incredibly supportive. She's beautiful. She's amazing. And we're moving on. Our next question comes from... I'm starting to move around on this, actually, because I feel like some people aren't getting their dues. The Gold Mutant asks, hey, Sam, who are your favourite supervillains in Spider-Man? Who are your favourite villains in Spider-Man? Let me just click on that so I know I'm answering it. Do like a bit of... I like them all. There's not one villain I don't like. The only episode of Spectacular Spider-Man that I ever didn't like, and Spectacular Spider-Man is not the only thing I've seen Spider-Man in, but just because I was thinking about it the other day, the only episode I don't like about that is when Jonah Jameson's son it gets a suit and there's a misunderstanding. Again, that relates to my latest video about how you don't need misunderstandings. But yeah, I guess him. I don't know if he's meant to be a comic book character, if that was just something they made for the series. Who do I not like? Well, that's not the question. You've asked me who's my favorite. I like Mysterio. He's corny. He's ooh. I like Rhino because he's an idiot. I like the sillier guys. I love Electro's original outfit. It's so tacky and just silly. I'm not sure it would have worked on film, but I kind of would have liked to have seen if they could make that work. I like a bit of Venom. I like a bit of Carnage. They're fun. They're incredibly overrated. But they're a bit of fun. I like Dr. Octopus. I like all of them. Whatever you want, whatever, man. Like, they're all fun. The Green Goblin is great. But you mainly watch it for Norman Osborn, because Norman Osborn's kind of the more interesting persona. I like Sandman because I like that he can morph his body into sand, and he's cool. I like them all. Our next question comes from I'm just going to say it because Dave Lindsay keeps spamming the comment section with it. There's a film Brits subreddit on that he has ever so graciously made on Reddit. I don't understand Reddit. I didn't make this. Anything that's said on it is not my opinion. It's I should not be held accountable for anything said on it. It's I didn't make it, but Dave Lindsay has very kindly made one for you guys to go and interact with each other. There's also one for my channel and Trilby's channel. Again, I don't understand Reddit or how it works, but if you guys are Redditors, you can go interact on that. Our next question comes from trying to find a really good question. Kevin Faulkner says, please mention the prequel edit. People need to know. So apparently someone has taken the prequels, edited them into edited the three films into one film, and changed the language to, I think it's Japanese, and completely rewritten the subtitles. So all the dialogue's different and everything that's said is different. And it's edited to look different. I started watching it, haven't watched the whole thing because we lost our connection. Apparently it's really good. I'm looking forward to watching the full thing, but I don't watch a lot of fan edits, but this one's been heavily encouraged by my friends. So let's have a look. Magnus asks or says, I like that he just stopped and didn't even try to say my last name. I still love you, Sam. Thank you. Thank you. It's all the case of me embarrassing myself. I don't want to do a disservice to your surname. Our next question comes from Flash Arrow crossover. So it comes from Sam Jane. It was the most rushed thing I've seen in recent memory. It wasn't terrible. It wasn't bad. I mean, it had Arrow characters, none of whom I like anymore. Not even Diggle. But it was just very rushed, and I think Vandal Savage, again, like they did with Ra's al Ghul in season 3 of Arrow, he's doing his own shit, and he should be getting other people to do it for him. He's much bigger than that. It was fine. It was enjoyable. It's ultimately to set up Legends of Tomorrow, so it was a fine, fun little thing they did. I would much rather have just seen a standard episode of The Flash because I don't care about anyone on Arrow, but there you go. And the fucking Felicity being able to play a Betamax tape with a laptop. Come on. Stop fucking me about. Felicity's badassness just transcends logic. Luke Dean says, hello, Sam. Not a question, but been a long time fan of yours, and you are always one of the people I go to see an opinion of a movie I've recently seen. You are also an underrated. Keep up the good work. Thank you very much. I apologize to people that have been looking for maybe certain reviews that I haven't put out or I put out late. It's very difficult keeping this up with university. I try to do it to the best of my ability. You get tired, but yeah, I apologize to anyone that has hoped for more content, hasn't got it. I hope I'm not completely letting you guys down by keeping this going. I never intend to finish. I never intend to end. Something bad's got to happen for me something really bad has got to happen, or I've got to completely reach a low point for me to stop doing this, and I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. I would love to make more off of these, and that will make me a bit more stable financially. We'll see how the future goes. But you guys are over 50% of as to why I do this. I mean, I wouldn't be making the videos if I didn't have such a encouraging and supportive audience like you guys, and I don't want to lick your asses, but you are the main reason I keep doing this, so thank you very much. And also this video wouldn't be possible without you either, so there you go. Peter Wolf asks, Sam, would you consider starring in a sitcom with Kirk, Trilby, and Anthony? Yeah, I don't know what the sitcom would be, but yeah, it'd be interesting. Two Brits, an Australian, and a Texan. That'd be interesting. It'd be fun. I keep seeing a comment and then the fucking comments move. Luke D. If I answer someone a couple of times, I'm not taking priority over someone. It's just because I like the question. I will not answer Luke Dean's question after this one, unless he has a really good question next. He asks, how do I pull myself from an entertaining live stream by someone called Sam to do my college coursework? It's an interesting conundrum. I think what you should do is, I don't know what kind of coursework it is, but if it's coursework, is it due in tomorrow? If it's not due in tomorrow and you've got time tomorrow, I say no. I can't wholeheartedly encourage someone to watch me instead of that. Try and do them both at the same time, I guess. I mean, if I'm in a laid back attitude, I will I will watch something but do work at the same time. Just before I answer another question, I'm just going to quickly check how the actual YouTube is doing and how many people are watching. Just double check. Thanks. Okay. It's weird because it said I had whatever. Right. So our I'm done trying to understand this system. I'm now lost of who's asking when and all that kind of stuff. Question. See, I really shouldn't laugh at questions then not answer them. Solar Dragon 007 asks, have you ever talked to Captain Logan from Geekvolution? Some of you won't. Some of you may have joined the viewership after the fact, but I was actually on Geekvolution's Who Reviews the Reviewers series in 2013, which is a show in which they give the one I was in, they give a $400 dollar. They give a 400 buck prize, and it's basically challenges. So they task you to review something, you review it to the best of your ability. It was a fun little thing, but it was during my studies, and it was just difficult to keep afloat. I haven't spoken to Captain Logan directly. I tried getting in touch with Geekvolution after the facts to offer my services for doing a podcast commentary, because they've had other people on to do particular kinds of material. I figured I could be the Star Wars guy, because he already had Dan Torrey for Spider-Man guy. Dan Torrey is really good, and I just never got a response. And I emailed him another couple times and just never got a response. Whatever. Let's go on to the next question. Let's go back to the top, because people thumbs up questions. People ask me this a lot. Kane Gord asks, have you ever walked out of a cinema? Have you ever walked out of a movie at the cinema before? What's funny is I haven't, and the reason is probably because I wasn't critical enough in my assessment of a movie before I started doing Sam's channel to walk out of a movie. and when I finally was, I couldn't wholeheartedly walk out of a movie because then I can't review the movie if I haven't seen the full movie. There's your answer. I probably would have walked out of Iron Man 3. And I would have walked out of a lot of movies. I would have walked out of Man of Steel. I had a horrible movie going experience. I got a headache. I felt sick. I was fed up. I was watching the thing like. I would have walked out of Terminator Genesis. Movies that just insult my intelligence. If Josh Trank, so Danny B Reviews asks, if Josh Trank does get to make another movie, will you be excited for it? Depends what it is. Depends what it is. So Luke, I said I wasn't going to answer anything by Luke Dean, but he's explaining his coursework. It's the first draft of the other half of my drama essay due tomorrow, and due to that, I'll watch the rest of this tomorrow. Hopefully it will keep track of unanswered questions. Cheerio, and thanks for answering my questions and this in general. And his comment disappeared. Something about bin something or other. Okay, thanks. Who should be the next James Bond? Solar Dragon 007? Don't know. Don't really care at this point. Everyone's asked that question. So things keep moving around. So John Tyler asks, if Felicity were killed off, I prefer if she was beaten by a shovel. That way it'd be funny. Yeah. Do that. Whatever, man. Kill her with a Betamax tape. What else have we got? Sometimes I just take these moments to cool down. Someone asks, can we see a video where Kirk, Anthony, and Sam all meet up and go places and mess about? Maybe one day, if and when I have money to go places. They're not coming here. I'm taking the opportunity to go out. Yeah, whatever. funny video concept. Let's see. People have asking me controversial questions, which I would like to answer, but I just can't. Someone just asked, worst YouTube reviewer, and the second I say that, someone's going to go, "Oh, you do better." So I'm not going to bother. I've kind of already answered this. Someone asked, what is one movie that you absolutely love for whatever reason, even if you know it's bad? I said this earlier, but it's Face Off. I love it to death. It's not a good movie, but it's so entertaining. And just watching John Travolta try and act his way through that movie is hilarious. Nicolas Cage is just awe-inspiring in that. 90s action cheese, love it to death. Let's have a look. Ace99 asks, have you ever fallen asleep in a movie? No, but I would happily have slept through Mockingjay Part 2. So Laughter Importable asks, hey Sam, I was just wondering, with the new Batman v Superman trailer coming out, what do you think of how DC is creating its cinematic universe? Do you think DC is trying to catch up with Marvel, and do you think they should? Are they making a big mistake? They are playing catch up, and it's very obvious, and they wouldn't have done it had Marvel not done it. Filmmaking never really works when people don't wholeheartedly believe in what they're making. I don't wholeheartedly believe that Zack Snyder gets Superman. I I think Man of Steel was his, and I believe Warner Brothers' way of trying to make Superman not gay, getting rid of the underwear, making him more edgy and broody, and basically doing all these changes to him that a 14-year-old would think is really cool, making him more of a badass, making him more brutal, making him angry, and giving him these huge fight scenes that destroy the city, and just completely losing that whole the essence of what the character was all about. Missing those scenes where he um, missing those scenes where he goes into a hospital and talks to kids with cancer, missing those scenes where he talks a suicidal girl down, missing those scenes where he's Superman. It is an origin movie. It looks like they might contain those scenes in Batman v Superman, but the whole thing of Batman v Superman is clearly an afterthought. They are clearly doing this as a direct response from from the backlash that they got from Man of Steel. And I'm not exactly sure I want to commend them for just taking notes that any fan would have said they would have done. Like everyone was defending Man of Steel, saying, "Oh, well, Lex Luthor will use that to his advantage, and will use the destruction Superman caused to his advantage in Man of Steel 2." That clearly wasn't the intention when they made Man of Steel, but then when they read those comments, they went, "Sure, sure." So, whatever. We'll see what they do, but it's an afterthought. Um, Hawk Hawk Meadow, sorry, the thing moved down again. Hawk Meadow asks, do you feel like YouTube can be your main job? As in, do I feel like it is, or do I feel like it has the possibility of being? I will answer both. I try and treat it like a part-time job. I make a little bit, I earn a little bit from it. I don't earn a lot, not really enough to warrant the fact that I don't have a part-time job outside of university. Although anyone that I know that has had a part-time job outside of university usually quits that job because it's too difficult and it's too frustrating, it's too stressful. I do have a very stressful time trying to keep both afloat, but I also have a lot of fun doing the reviews. So sometimes I feel like it's my job. I like to treat it a bit more like it's my part-time job because then that compels me to get a little more done. Do I feel like it can be my full-time job? What's interesting is that when I was during the summer and I had nothing to do apart from YouTube, I still didn't get that many videos out. For some reason, I work best when I've got other things to go to and when I've got other things to occupy my mind, because then I'll think, oh, I've got all these amazing things. I better. It's almost as if I'm doing other things so that I can think about the YouTube stuff and I can get more excited about it, the fact that I'm not doing it or that I don't have the ability to do it right now, and then I can put it all in a script and I can just get it done sooner, as opposed to if I've got all the time in the world to do it, because then I'll usually just find myself sitting in front of a computer with not much. So I don't really know. Your mind works in very mysterious ways, and motivation is a huge part of what keeps me going. What's interesting is I work best under pressure when it comes to studying, but I don't work best under pressure when it comes to content creating. And ultimately, that's because you're not really meant to work under pressure from creating content. You're meant to do it because you feel passionate about it, and that's kind of the way I've gone about it. Really, I occupy myself with the stuff I need to do to have some sort of future, but then I'll think about all the stuff that I really want to do, and then I'll go and do it. So yeah, that kind of answers your question. Whether I think it could be a full-time job outside of, say, when I finish university, completely depends on the audience. Bandit Incorporated, I think, quit his job and dedicated his whole time to doing movie reviews. He's now on something like 40,000 subscribers. It's ridiculous. He's grown a lot recently. I'm very jealous. But he's putting the work in. I put the work in too, but I don't get as many out. I don't really know. It's I've talked about this with Oliver Harper. People get bored of things. They really do. You guys will not be watching my videos forever. People don't watch the nostalgia. Nostalgia critics audiences has dropped. I don't really watch him anymore, um, for obvious reasons. Well, not obvious. They're not obvious. I've never explained it before. I just grew. When you see too much of something, you naturally just go towards new things, and one day I'll get bored of watching Bob Chipman. One day I'll get bored of watching Mark Commode, and you get bored of watching too much of one thing. And the thing with um, YouTube is that you can go on forever, but the audience may not follow you. So I don't even know if I've got another 3 years in my course. I don't know if people will still be watching me then. I don't know if I'll even still be doing the channel by then. It's impossible to know in the future. So I'm just going to keep doing what I do, see what happens, and if that time comes, then great. If it doesn't, it's been one hell of a learning curve. It's been one hell of an experience, and yeah, you can never predict how your life will turn out. Peter Wolf asks, Sam, would you be willing to accept Nicolas Cage as our Lord and Savior? Yes. Our next question comes from. I'm going to go back to the top. For the top question. Cabshadun asks, would you rather star in a Michael Bay movie or direct an Adam Sandler movie? Probably star in a Michael Bay movie. He's not the Antichrist. I watched a bit of Pain and Gain. It was all right. Thought it was okay. And he's made Bad Boys. He's not the worst director in the world. People that aren't people that don't really people that aren't hugely well versed in film but like to pretend like he's fucking Hitler. And it's boring at this point. It's like people harking on Justin Bieber. It's just boring. It's like people harking on the prequels. Well, not so much. The prequels are bad. It's like people pretending the Phantom Menace was the worst thing to happen to them since the Holocaust, and it's not. It wasn't. May have affected you personally, but move the fuck on, mate. It's been over 15 years. So yeah, Michael Bay may have made some shitty movies, but Adam Sandler. He's worse, much worse. So Siddharth Eckard asks, were there any movies that you were in denial about and then realized something? Question disappeared. Were there any movies that you were in denial about and then realized something that they were bad or good? So I'm just going to fill in the blanks. So and then realized that they were either good or bad. In denial, you were in denial about it. What was I in denial about? I was in denial about something. I was in denial about how bad Amazing Spider-Man 2 was. You go back and watch that review. I'm surprisingly kind to it. The first Amazing Spider-Man, I was too hard on. Opinions change, people. Those are the ones I can think of off the bat. Was I really in denial? I was kind of in denial about Star Trek Into Darkness. I really wanted to like it, and even this was the very early days of Sam's channel, but it feels like it was. But I was with a group of friends that didn't know Star Trek, so when he goes Khan and when they made references, I was doing that mainly to just show off that I got the reference. But afterwards, I kind of went, well, no, we've had that movie. It was called Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan, and I realized, no, they're taking me for a fool. And that's when I started becoming aware of like branding and brand references, and that's why ultimately I wasn't going to let it get the better of me in Terminator Genesis. We'll ask a few more questions, and then I think I'll wrap up. Excuse me. Do excuse me. Oh, Dave Lindsay commented nothing wrong with gay. Did I bring up being gay? I'm not gay, but did I bring up gayness? Homosexuality? Did I bring that up at some point? Um, uh, oh God, what? Stop moving. Um, uh, the movie critic dude asks me if I saw his question on Ninja Turtles. I didn't. You might have to post that again. Um, Daniel Morrison asks, "Hi Sam, what are your thoughts on the voice acting in Spectacular Spider-Man?" Brilliant, great. Josh Keaton is the man. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Um, right. Kai's review asks, um, any thoughts on the Wachowski bros as directors? Also, do you have any tips on getting back into reviewing movies and such after feeling burned out? Um, the Wachowskis, I love the first Matrix. I adore Cloud Atlas. That's a brilliant film. Um, just a masterpiece of filmmaking. A lot of people didn't like it because it was very ambiguous, and I can understand that frustration. Um, and I'm not too sure what the whole thing meant in the end, but I know I still found it resonant all the same. And I thought, and the cast is great, the prosthetics are brilliant. It's got a general overall theme about reincarnation and rebirth. Um, you would have thought that was not a difficult word to remember. Um, yeah, I think they're good. I didn't like Jupiter Ascending. I thought that was a bit shit, to be honest. But as I understand it, there was a lot cut out from that. Um, yeah, so there's that. Do you have any tips on getting back into reviewing movies and such after feeling better? I must get this um, feeling of being burned out every year because you get it. You reach. It's kind of what they call writer's block. You just can't really write anything. You try and force something out creatively, and you're not getting anywhere. And you feel worried that your whole audience is going to go away, and all your subscribers are going to fuck off. I get it every year. And ultimately, you just got to let it happen. You just got to walk away. You got to sit. You got to stand up, walk away from the computer. Take it easy. Your body and your mind is asking you to take it easy for a bit. Walk away from it. Um, that's my best advice. It always comes back. It always comes back. Even when you think this is it. This is the end of Sam's channel. That's it. I fucked everything up. It's ultimately just creative block. Everyone gets it. Everyone needs it. I think clearly it's the brain telling you to take it easy on me. Just let it happen, and you'll be back to yourself in no time. It's got a couple more questions. Alexander Lowery asks, "What do you think of the Star Wars Rebels show?" Um, everyone asks me this. Everyone asks me what I think of the Clone Wars. I've never watched the Clone Wars. I will never watch the Clone Wars. Probably, I will never watch them. I'm not interested in those characters. Um, Rebels. I tried watching it. I must have watched about 8, 9, 10 episodes. Um, I watched the first 5 or 6 in five, I suppose, in chronological order. Got bored, um, but they were on the Skybox. My parents, I go home to my parents in the holidays, and they have a Skybox which has little TV collections. one of which is Star Wars Rebels. So I kind of looked on it and just pressed play while I'm eating something just to see how it shapes up. It's lacking in the writing department. I know it's got a fan base, but it's lacking in the writing department for me. I'm not a fan of Ezra. Um, I can't remember the guy's name, the guy who Freddie Prinze Jr. voices, who's clearly meant to be um, a fusion of Han Solo and Luke Skywalker, which just feels calculated to me. The writing just isn't there for me, honestly. There are moments where it does feel like it's going to have some kind of spark of nuance or intelligent, subversively intelligent writing, but it's made for kids. Really, it's written for kids, and I can't. That's all I see, really, and that's not all I see. There are moments where I'm like, oh, this could be really good, but it never really reaches. It never really reaches those levels of me really respecting it and just wanting to come back for more. Every single time, I'm left feeling dissatisfied. So there you go. I will answer a couple more questions and then we're going to wrap it up. Solar Dragon 007 asks, you ever danced with the devil in the pale moonlight? Oh, like the worst impression ever. Thankfully, no. But I wouldn't mind meeting Jack Nicholson. Weird guy, weird dude. Magnus asks, why do you think some movies can be so split down the middle, where you either hate it or love it, e.g., Man of Steel or Prometheus? Because you will undoubtedly get movies like that. We can't all agree on the same film. That's a simple answer. Sorry. I do think, and I really don't want to be rude, I do think that a lot of people will like a movie for implications, or when a movie tells you to feel a certain way. Man of Steel doesn't have the subtlety and it doesn't have the nuance, but it constantly has characters telling you, oh, this is really meant to be important. And it's all up there visually, it's all literal. And for some people, that's enough. For me, it's not. And for other people, it's not. But for loads, it is. And I think that loads is more of the mainstream movie going audience. Not everyone has a critical mindset like my own. That's fine. I didn't always have a critical mindset, and I enjoyed movies just fine. And I still do enjoy movies just fine. I'm thankful for my critical views, but so with Man of Steel, you have characters constantly telling you, "Oh, this is meant to be really important." Jesus metaphor, yada yada. You were meant to be amazing, and Prometheus looks amazing. It looks clever. There's a lot of ambiguity in there, but because there's ambiguity in there, and I'm gonna say this about Prometheus, it doesn't know what it's trying to do. It doesn't know what it's trying to tell you. But because it's so ambiguous about it, people will take away things that aren't actually on screen, and they will say, "You just don't get it." Those people exist. That's why I think with movies, because you've asked me, you've put in brackets, you've particularly put these two movies, and I think these two movies are in particular films that literally spell things out for you and make you and try and make the audience think something clever is happening on screen, which is fulfilling for some. Some people will still get an emotional response out of that, and if they do, that's fantastic. But for some, they crave more. They crave more in the writing. They crave more subtlety, nuance. For some, they need more. That's my explanation, basically. How many more questions can I answer before I start feeling burned out? I'll give it 10 more minutes. Vayako Elo asks, if you were to write and direct a superhero movie, which superhero would you like to write or direct? It's pretty obvious. I'd do Spider-Man. I know he's the superhero I feel most comfortable in my knowledge of. and I'd like to give him a fair shake. Fair shake. It would be fun. I'm sure it'd be fun. It'll probably be really really stressful. Um, yeah, mainly Spider-Man, just because I feel like if I did someone like Luke Cage, I would not know enough about the character to do him respectfully. I'd have to go research him. I'm sure I could learn about it, but if I'm already a writer or a director, do I really have time for that? Let's see. I think I might make this the last question because I'm feeling a bit tired now. Oh, okay. So, I'll answer this one actually. Ace99 asks, "Do you like how Doomsday looks in Dawn of Justice?" Not one bit. Uh, what? It's not the case of why didn't they make it more comic book accurate for the sake of comic book accuracy? Because I hate that criticism. But why didn't they? Because it's a better design. It just looks better. Um, it's gone around plenty, but I thought about it the second I saw it. He looks like a crusty Ninja Turtle, and it just looks generic. What? Give him the spiky beard. He looks cool, man. I mean, the only thing Doomsday has is his appearance and his physical strength. He's not an interesting character. The only interesting thing he ever did was kill Superman. He's not an interesting character. And the only thing he really has in his wheelhouse is that he's a big brute that has a cool spike that has spikes and he has a spiky beard. And he looks threatening. This guy looks like the dude from Goonies. So yeah, I think they've cocked up in the design department there. If anyone tells me that's not meant to be Doomsday, I reckon if the movie turns around and tells me that's not meant to be Doomsday, I'm gonna go ahead and say that's an afterthought as well. Well, I'm gonna call that a wrap. Thank you everyone for asking these questions. Um, I'm sorry it took so long to get this all up and running. Um, I think that YouTube and Google should really sort out their system. But yes, I really enjoyed this. It's great interacting with you all and seeing how you're all doing. You've all been great. You've asked some great questions, some funny questions. We even got emotional at one point. We've shared something, you know. But yeah, you're all fantastic, and I really enjoyed this. I'm currently working on a couple Star Wars scripts. Don't know how they'll shape out, but I'm enjoying writing them so far, and I'll be seeing Force Awakens soon, which I'm admittedly looking forward to. Seeing it with a group of friends, which should be fun. Midnight screening. Um, hope all you guys are going to go see it as well. See, now I'm reading comments and I'm losing track of it. But yes, thank you very much for asking these questions, and I'll see you guys soon. Never stop posting things on the Facebook page. Never stop tweeting me. I'm always around. I'm always up for answering your questions. If you guys have videos you want me to watch and criticize to make you get better at movie reviews, then send them my way. We're all in the same boat. I once had no idea what I was doing, so send them to me. Yeah, thank you very much, everyone, and I'll see you guys around. Cheers.